Destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for
Alrighty, folks. Well, a little bit of technical difficulties here, so I had to figure something else. And for some reason, the bot in the Discord doesn't want to post, I guess, as far as I'm going live. So I don't know if that's a Twitch thing or what the heck the deal is up with that. I know we, anyway, that was something else I was kind of dealing with there, so, how's everybody doing? Anyway, we're running a little bit later than usual. So, yeah, that's because I had manually posted it. I had to manually post that. Lady Death, welcome on in. Yeah, so if it wasn't for me having to manually post that, you probably may not have known. I'm gonna tweet out here. Getting things going here to let everybody know we're out here. I know we're running a little bit later, and I did, make a point, I guess, as far as to let everybody know that we were running later. Hopefully everybody doesn't mind that. Just had some IRL things to do, just kind of getting ready for Christmas season. So, yeah, that was a little bit, I guess, as far as what's up with that. And it ran about as long as I figured it was going to be. So, we got lots of new stuff to be able to show for brand new stuff, I guess, as far as for the Texas Motor Speedway build. Torch has sent me a slew of different new files, I guess, as far as just to kind of load this thing up there. So I haven't taken the initiative, I guess, as far as to apply all of it, so I guess I figured just go through all that right on stream. You watch a Leonard Skinner documentary while waiting. Well, I guess there's some other things that are better to watch maybe than me. So there is that, I suppose. Yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff to go over, like I said. Slew of stuff. So I think the approach that I'm going to take to this, since it's a lot, one new PTF, I guess, requires to take into account, I guess, all of these new items. So we got team haulers, we got a lot of infield objects, for the most part, applied to the track. So, yeah. Let's see here. That, that's still gonna go off. So that's going off there. Just getting some things loaded up here, real quick. I got some ideas here with everything that I guess that Torch has sent me just as of recent here. Yeah, it made me think about some other things that can necessarily be applied to the track on top of what he sent me. So we're gonna be showing that up here just a little. In a few. Apache Creek, what's going on, man? Hope we're doing all right. Saw them live 4 times, original band, right? Cool. All the good ones are before my time, isn't that the truth? Some of the music, I guess, that gets played as of late, a little bit out there, say that. Okay. Let's, alright, just making sure I've got all this that Torch has sent me. I'm gonna put this in a different folder in a second here. Let's do this. We're gonna go... Yeah, I think I'm gonna separate that folder out here. I'm just doing some busy work. That's all. Y'all don't need to see this mess. Alright, so we're gonna go... Yeah. That. Just to kind of give you all a little bit of a taste, I guess, as far as all the new stuff. Lots of track library. For the most part, like I said, team haulers. We got some flying objects, I guess, as far as the wing foot in the sky, and helicopters and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, this is gonna be cool. Alright, let's see if we can bring this over. So I think I got this set up well enough. We're just gonna be plugging this stuff in here on the fly here, I guess, as far as during stream here, just to kind of show somewhat the process. I know usually I have most of it set up, and I figure in the essence of time, starting a little bit later and such like that. And look at this. So here's a quick look. This is just one of the folders. So far as some of the things that we've got brand new things as far as to be able to apply to the track. Let me put it in this mode. Yeah, so you can see all these. We got PTH files, which are basically waypoints for such things as the blimp that flies around in the sky. And I do believe we got the Wingfoot 1, which has been applied to many of the tracks. A lot of truck haulers, team haulers. We can kind of open these initially here in 3D SimEd, for example. Kind of get a sense of what we got here. And I don't know, are these up to date? I guess as far as are these current team haulers? So I'll have to look at the date at those. That's pretty cool. So we'll be able to see those in Sandbox here in just a moment. Just kind of going through these. So this is the first time I've kind of really gone through. So we got the 24. And this up here, see what we got. Oh, nope. So these are not. So this would be older. Obviously, this was when Chase was driving the 24. Now in the 9. So these are not up to date. But at least we have, we'll have the option, I guess, as far as having those haulers in place. Be able to adjust those textures. Ooh, fascinating. What are you calling a nerd? Seen them all from Jefferson Airplane, Iron Man. Yeah, now you're just showing off, George. Haven't had the time to update. Yeah, and that's the only conclusion. There's plenty of other things that still need to be updated. As far as like the score tower, we got things like the animated frames for the video screen, things like that. So yeah. Helicopter. So I want to look into here. I think you did have the Wingfoot 1. One of these folders, anyway. I think it's in the other folder. Let's check the other folder. So yeah, the PTF has been... The latest PTF actually kind of gives a clue, I guess, as far as the Wingfoot has been added. So let's look in the other folder. Here's the rest of them. So we got the remaining team haulers. So I'm assuming it's a full... bandit, gamut, I guess, of all the teams in there. I do see some some other haulers like concessions and such like that. So we got a truck Jegs, we got Dishdale. That's pretty cool. What is the date on these? I'm just kind of curious if these are the fact that the 24 with Chase in there with the Napa Auto Parts. That's got to be. Holy smokes. That's been at least 3 years. Yeah, let's see which other cars. So the 24. Let me go back to that real fast. Date. Just curious. I'm nosy that way. So the 24 is 9/10 of 20. That's okay. That's probably just when it was painted. It's not been since I want to say it was 2018. So he's been in the 9 car with Hendrick, I guess, as far as since 20. Well, year before and then this year. So yeah, just trying to get an idea, I guess, as far as how outdated that is. Anyway, is all. So we've got. Oops. Go back to part 2. I'll go over there. There we go. Part 2. We're gonna look at the rest of the. So all this stuff just needs to get planted into the track. I'm gonna be getting this into Sandbox here in a moment. Yeah, here's the Wingfoot 1. This was done by our good, very good friend, I guess, as far as Racer James. This goes all the way back to 2011, thereabouts. This might be a revised version, I guess, since then, but for the most part, what's the date on this one too? Yeah, this one's 10/5/20, so this might be more of a revised version of that. But the initial one that he did do, I remember it was applied to the Phoenix reconfiguration track, I guess as far as that was a 2011 build. That was one of the initial times that Wingfoot one has been applied here. So we'll be able to have this flying around in the sky around the track, for example. You made the custom ones for Domer, right? As far as the truck haulers, correct? That I do remember. I wonder how up to date, I guess, as far on the Dover build. Would those textures be? Because the Dover build was a little bit ago. Was it at least maybe a year ago? Yeah, maybe about a year ago. I wonder if those are going to be a little bit more current. Maybe I could set some waypoints. Could probably go over that. It's not incredibly that difficult. So we got truck beverage. It's like snooping on here. We're gonna be able to see these in their element. We got the PTF for that, so that's pretty cool. I do notice as I look at these, they are based on the truck hauler model. I guess as far as that going, talking about the Dover deal there, so they definitely seem to be utilizing, I guess, that same model. Now some of these I notice are a little bit more chunky. Like this one's only 10.8 kilobytes, and this one is not quite twice as big. So what is the difference in? Just curious. I mean, it's not much. I mean, it's not that big of a difference. I just wonder what this one's got. Let's look to it. And we're going to look at the one that's a little bit smaller. I just wonder if these are not as optimized. So this one here is only 10.8 kilobytes. And this seems to have just as much detail in it. So that's something possibly. And I know this one here is actually a different make. So this one's a Peterbilt. Okay, so there might be some differences in that, I guess, as far as what type of truck it is depicting. There's always that too. Truck beverage 20.2. Yeah, so if you open this one, yeah, see some relatively the same look, but this is a Kenworth, I believe. Might have a little bit more detail in other areas, I guess, as far as that. Just like to make these comparisons of that. Chopper's not flying yet. Okay. Right, but what I'm noticing as far as like they're not consistently the same size as far as the model size. That's what I was looking at these individually like this. Kind of see what was going on with them. So like this one, it's 20.2, and then this team hauler is only 10.8. So it's not quite twice as big in that. What's this one here? This one's 15.8. So some of them seem to be a little bit bigger. So most of the team haulers are 10.8, which are pretty consistent. Some of the other haulers are a little bit bigger. That's what I tend to notice. So this one's 21.6. And I already opened this one previously. Yeah, one thing I do notice with this one here, it's got a AC unit on the top of it. It's got a little bit more detail in it, I suppose. Definitely doesn't look bad. Plus, I think it's got a little bit more detail on the cab. Yeah, it's got a bigger sleeper to it, such like that. That what it could be adding a little bit more. And this is also a Peterbilt. Notice about a badging on it. Cool. Alright. So again, this is kind of my way of critiquing, I guess, as far as like that, because you always want to look at any of these types of pieces that are otherwise a duplicate, as far as a repeating type of object in there. You definitely want to try and keep them both the texture and the model size to a minimum, because that will add not only poly weight, but as far as the texture being applied to it. So this is going to be a huge amount of stuff to add to the track there. So as far as being able to test this and see where it's at, I guess, as far as just overall frame rate, lag, or anything like that in the single player element, is going to be pretty interesting to see. This one I noticed is pretty chunky on the texture, in comparison to the other ones here. So if we open this up in Wimit 2, what size is this one? Okay, that. Yeah, let's roll this back here. 3 sets of axles in the rear. I'm going to be updating NASCAR Cup Series hauler. Yeah, because obviously you would. Yeah, that's why I wanted to see what if it's the Monster Energy or the yeah. Alright, let's see what we got here. So if we go, whoops, we gotta go back a little further. We need to go here. That's part 2. And that's this one right here. Oh yeah, this is a pretty chunky boy. Okay, that's why it's way bigger, I guess, as far as file size wise. This even, I know it's gonna get updated, but I would consider, I guess, as far as to go a little bit smaller on this texture size and make it more consistent, I guess, with the other haulers, so it doesn't outweigh, I guess, as far as any other one. You can always change the priority on it to make it, a higher priority if it need be, reducing it. So that would be something as a suggestion for that. Obviously, this is very outdated. Monster Energy hasn't been the title sponsor for the Cup Series since 19. So for the last 2 seasons, NASCAR has just not had a title sponsor. It's just considered a NASCAR Cup Series. So, what do you mean you're not using that template? Not using. What do you mean you're not using the truck NAS hauler? It's in here, I guess. So if you're not using it, why am I looking at it? I guess that's unless you're just meaning that you're going to be updating it, as you were saying. Okay. NTS. What's NTS? Truck Series? I would think. Yep. That's the Gander Mountain. That's still pretty, still pretty up to date on that. So, we got Truck NTS. What's the weight is that one? Yeah, so this is a little more reasonable, where it's 341 kilobytes in comparison to that one. Truck Tanker. I think this one's the Sunoco. That's the Sunoco fuel tanker. Yep. You remember that too. Pretty cool. Alright. Yeah, the fact that, remember back in the Dover bill, we showed how we can potentially, pose the truck and the trailer, I guess, in different orientations, if need be, with the way these models are designed. This one's all one static piece, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's like, it can be made into a different orientation as far as it have a cab be a little bit turned, things like that. Still a relatively low poly, but still gives you plenty of detail, I guess, as far as that as well. Definitely got to keep that in mind, I guess, as far as when adding these types of bits, I guess, to the track in multiplicity. All right, so that's the majority, I guess, as far as everything like that. Got a lot of things, lots of stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and start moving this stuff over. So as I look through all these too, we don't have anything that has been updated, so all of this should be brand new. There really shouldn't be anything that's, as I copied this over to our track edit folder, there's not going to be anything in here that's going to be replacing. This is all brand new. First time, I guess, we'll be putting it in the tracks. What's this one here? That's a luxury bus, okay. saw Zephyr. I'm like, what the heck is that? Yep, that's a pretty decent. Both the model. You can get a pretty good gauge. Man, why are you not showing me the? You dirty rotten thing here. Why is it not showing me the? Okay, so that's 10.8. What's this one? 5.5. That's even less. Yeah. So you can get a really good gauge, I guess, as far as how big the actual 3DO is. So if they tend to be a bigger file size, obviously it's got a lot more poly weight to it. As far as the model itself, and then in comparison to the texture, that seems pretty self-explanatory too. So the bigger size, you know, like the NASCAR texture that I was showing there, it's definitely way bigger. It's going to have a lot more weight texture-wise to that model in comparison to the rest of the haulers that'll be in the infield. So I do notice you also got the Sunoco sign in here too. We'll see if they got them in the right orientation. Hopefully you didn't disappoint and put these in the wrong direction. We're gonna find out. Infield buildings are there too. Did I miss those? Let's see, Sunoco sign. So this is just yep, Sunoco sign. So these are go usually pit entrance and pit exit of the pit road, and they need to be pointed with the arrow pointed towards the infield. That's where the fueling station are, and this is something that always gets screwed up with a lot of track builds. They'll have whatever model that they put in with the track, they'll have the arrows pointed towards the track. That's incorrect. As far as the way Sunoco, their model or their way of orienting their sign with the arrow, it's always pointed towards the gas pumps. That's why the arrow is there. The fact that we see in many track builds, as far as for NASCAR Racing 2003, they always plenty of them are pointing in the wrong direction. So nobody is aware of that. That is a Sunoco kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That's their way of representing, I guess, their brand. It's to point the arrow towards the gas pumps. So anyway, that is in here. Torch was mentioning that there are other infield buildings in here too. Well, we're gonna find out here in just a moment. Don't you worry about that. So what's in this folder? I'm only noticing haulers and things like that. So we got the Featherlight, trucks, DHL, FedEx, tanker, Truck MM. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen that name in a while. This is the name that gets applied to original Papayas. This is MRN. Okay, that's pretty cool. Truck MM, that badging, I guess, that's the original Papyrus. Usually the Papyrus hauler that would be applied to tracks as a generic hauler on tracks. Truck MM. I don't even remember what the hell that even stood for, because the fact that it depicted, I guess, as far as Papyrus itself is with the original developer for NASCAR Racing 2003 season, and the fact that it put Truck MM on, I don't know the story behind that. Let's see. So what I'm not seeing is these infield buildings, I guess you're mentioning here. All I see is truck haulers between these two. Is it in part 1 or part 2? Not seeing them in part 2. They're in part 1. I did notice that, and I'm sure it was just a typo, fat finger. This one here was PY1 or something like that, so I had to rename it because I was like, OCD was getting the better of me. Oh, okay, I see. Infield buildings right here. Yep. Pickup Tundra. I think these are the track dryers. Well, this one's not anyway. Okay. Got the Tundra W. Whoops, my bad. Is that just white? Yeah. White Tundra. Alright. And yeah, so here's the infield buildings. These are just a piece. I'm just looking at these through 3D SimEd. We'll be checking them out in here in Sandbox just a sec. Oh wow, so we got, yeah, I think I did see the pictures that you were sent me, I guess, as far as to show all these outbuildings here in the infield there. So we got our garage area, very simple. Oh, you actually do have them, so are they, are these, so these are double-sided. So in here, you won't be able to tell that, we would tell better in 3D, in Sandbox, I should say. So these will have double-sided planes, I guess, as far as to show. Is this your own little touch? The torchies? That's kind of interesting. Torchies. That's actually there. That's hilarious. Now, just the fact that, you know, your name and all. So this Sunoco layout here looks familiar. I've seen this. It reminds me of, I forget which track. Definitely see this layout here before. So the fact that they actually have that Sunoco layout, I guess, as far as infield, and you got the badgings on the actual garage. Speed, danger, fun. Oops. That's pretty cool. I'm taking your word for it, I guess, as far as what they actually have all in there. Cool. Torchies. Pretty cool. So yeah, those are the infield. So that's all one object. And I also noticed there's only one texture for that. I think that's what you had mentioned to me, because as far as showing me the pictures initially. Oh, they are updated? Okay, cool. Let's see. What I wanted to look at here is the, let's go look in WinMap 2 again. So that's in part 1. Gotta go up the folder again. Part 1, so we got the infield buildings. Right, yeah. So I'm gonna look at this texture real quick. Not very big either. There's a lot going on with it, holy smokes. It does have an alpha channel into it, it's added transparency. We'll be able to tell, I guess, as far as once we get in the sandbox, as far as if that's got that double sides to the, so it has an interior, I guess, to the actual garages. Those doors open. Coordinate. Torchies. That's pretty cool. You got, so you got a place at the Texas Motor Speedway, I guess, semi-named after you. That seems pretty cool. Alright. So, as I was saying before, we're going to go ahead and get these all copied over to our track edit folder. And we shouldn't have anything being replaced. These are all brand new. Let's do copy that. And I got a separate folder. Over here to our track edit folder, which is right here. And nothing should be replaced. This is all brand new. Okay. And part 2. Alright, let's get part 2. And we'll have to get that PTF over there as well. That will have all the coordinates, I guess, for everything that's brand new, as far as the haulers and all that stuff. So we have to definitely make sure to use that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Go select all, so everything in this folder, and bring that over to our tracker. Yep. So we'll do the same thing. Nothing replaced, it's all brand new. Now we'll bring over that ETF. It's in this folder right here. We load this up here, it'll have everything that was just gone over, I guess, as far as prior to showing this off in Sandbox. So this is the PTF we want to open. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. So hopefully this will load without any errors. That is always the main concern, I guess, as far as when you have new items, and especially working on these things collaboratively. Looks like it does initially load. Don't have any could not load PTF or errors, I guess, as far as for 3DOs. It's good. It's a second to load up. Y'all going ham, I guess. I'll play on the mini chat games, supplementing those units of fluid. Just to remind everybody that you are earning yourself units of fluid even while the stream is live. You can always check your units of fluids, exclamation point fluids. Alright, so the track is loaded. Got all of our new items in here. Something I do remember too, Torch, I guess, as far as from last week, I guess, when we showed this off here, I know we had done some things off stream. You were showing a screenshot for me, I guess, as far as some of the edits to with adding this item for suggestion. I'm not seeing for on my end anyway as far as a shadow casted from the car onto this here, so I'm not sure what you might have done different. I guess to have a shadow show. I meant to send you something, I guess, about that, but it's good to mention on here. So that's something else we'll look at in the sim itself. But regardless of whether the shadow from the car actually does get shown or not, I think it'll still be a pretty cool aspect, I guess, as far as just to be able to drive into Victory Lane. But about the only way you'd be able to accommodate being able to get the shadow show in this area would be pulling back the F section to add a texture to this area, and maybe even cut out the actual infield object, so that shadow from that F section can actually be cast. That would be the only way to do that. If you did actually want to get that shadow, I guess, from the car coming into Victory Lane, I guess, to be able to show. So that was just something to point out. So yeah, look at all the new added bits here into the infield. Been pretty barren in here for the most part up until now. Right now, it's got a lot of outbuildings here. We got the NASCAR Xfinity Series hauler, NASCAR and Fox. We got the infield care center. And these are all built in place, you know, as far as you can see. The image that we've got that is down in the infield here, that's based on satellite imagery as far as of the actual facility. As you can see in this place here, they do have some haulers here on some of these parking spots. So these are more or less done pretty random, I suppose, I guess, as far as we don't have placement of those actual haulers for the event itself, I guess, as far as it's being depicted. So let's look in here. I was saying here we should have an interior in this thing, so these can actually be driven into. They're not hollow. Double-sided faces, I guess, for those in there, so the fact that openings for the garage doors, you can actually drive in there. That's pretty cool. There's Torchy's in all of its glory, and kind of appropriate. I assume this is like the infield restaurant. That's pretty wild. They actually have that. So we got a Coca-Cola hauler next to the infield restaurant. That's pretty wild. So there's one of the Tundra trucks. Taking a look at those, we got the Sunoco hauler right next to the fuel pumps. Here on pit road, we got the Goodyear garage. All the teams get their tires. As well as the hauler right next to that. Got a feather light. This is one of them we didn't look at. There's in there, but we got a feather light trailer. So some of the vendor and concession type haulers. DHL Logistics. We got a... Whoa, this one here seems out of place. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, it's a little high up off the ground there. It's a little bit, I suppose. But maybe I was just... Eyes were killing me, so we got a little bit of raised. That's one thing I noticed, I guess, as far as these are a little bit raised off the infield plane. So this one's a little bit lower. So just making some initial... This one looks a little too low. Those probably need to be balanced out a little bit more, because as far as heights, I guess on that, but that's, you know, minimal application. Okay. There we go. Right, so just the fact that we got like initial placement of these items, there will still need to be some additional adjustments, I guess, to them. That's all I mentioned. Yeah, I think that's what you were showing me, if I remember right. You actually pointed it out to me that I was showing a shadow for that victory lane. Double check here real quick. Alright, so you got your updates, got those. So yeah, I guess I did send you a thing here. Was it showing a shadow? You showed me a second. Oh, it was showing a shadow? I don't know how you got that. Do that without doing what I was suggesting as far as yeah, so you actually pointed that out. There's a shadow. I don't know how you got that, because in my picture, my test to that here, I don't have that. I know my gauges are in the way, but there's no shadow. So if you wanted to get the shadow, the only way to accomplish that is you would need to do probably two different things, and that would be, one, would need to open up the shoot. So you would have to start it. Zoom in. Come on now. Oh, why are you being like that? Don't be like that. Hold on. There we go. Being a little wonky on me. It's okay. So yeah, what you'd have to do is open up this F section here so that you can actually get a shadow show. That shouldn't matter. That's pretty much what view I was in. As you were in the driving view, it shouldn't matter. That's what I mean. It's not going to matter which view you're in. It's going to show a shadow. I don't want to step on what I'm saying. It's as far as like, there's either going to be a shadow outside of the car or not. And in this case, it was showing that you had a shadow, but I didn't have that. So that's what I shared with you, that I didn't get a shadow. So if you're wanting to get a shadow, that's the only point I'm trying to make. The way you'd have to do that is you'd have to bring, add another F section to this, add a texture, and probably cut out that area of the actual infield object so that the F section will take control, I guess, as far as that. And then even if you do just put a model, I don't know, is that a model or is that a TSD? I guess I never did look at that either. I think that's a model. Ah, shoot, it's not gonna show me. Yeah, is that a model or a TSD? Irregardless, doesn't matter if it's a TSD or that. In any case, when you try to drive over top of that with the vehicle, if you have shadows from cars on, it's not going to show on that model or the TSD unless you open that F section. You know, when I say open it up, but you would have to add an F section to have a texture onto that. That's the only way you'd be able to get that to do that. So whether you want to have the texture, the shadow to show or not, that's you know, depending on what you want to do. I guess that's and the way these segments are lined up here, you could probably, I don't know, you'll only be able to get it to show in probably in this section because this one's a little bit bigger segment. Yeah, so it might be, you know, you may be able to get this chunk here, but not the rest of it, as far as where the shadow will show from the car. Yeah, there would need to be a F section in here, and then cut that. That's, yeah, that's the only point I wanted to make, at least. You know, if you did want the shadow, I guess. But yeah, I remember when you showed me, and you even put the notation on there that you had shadow from car, and this one here. So, and even in that view, I know I'm not in that view, I guess, as far as here, but just being outside the car, it doesn't matter if you're far chase or whatever. It's either you're going to have a shadow or you're not in any of those views outside of the car. And I didn't get any shadow, so as far as, like, I don't know how you were able to accomplish having a shadow with the way the track is designed in that area. This is all. Okay. So, yeah, I don't want to beat that up, but it's just, yeah, it just all basically just comes down to, like I said, as far as if you wanted a shadow to show in that or not. And yeah, what was that? Is that a TSD or a model? I guess that's what I want to look at too. That was back, so this was off stream, post fact of last week's stream. Let's take a look here real quick. Let's go into here, and that was in this one here, I think. Yeah, so Victor Lane Ground, that is a model for that, just for clarity. So that is a model piece built in place, and like I said, regardless if it's a model or TSD, about having that set up properly, I guess, as far as for the shadow to show. I think that turned out pretty good. I don't want to discount that either, I guess, as far as that makes a huge difference to have that in there as opposed to just in fact, let's do this just to kind of give, again, this gives some more clarity without having that oops, my bad. I feel like I'm in the mode of being in Max, and I keep wanting to try to use the navigation of Max, and it's like, that's not gonna work, you dummy. Yeah, so the difference of how this looks with this new model in there for the ground for the Victory Lane definitely makes a big difference as far as having it this way as opposed to just using the infield texture quality, I guess you could say. Let's do this. Let's go into object placement. Let's see here. Go into object placement, and we're going to go into our items list here and look for that Vic Lane Ground, which is right here. And then what I'll do is I'll just raise this up on the Z, so it's all, everything's built in place as far as all at 0. Let's just do this. Just going to raise it up off of that just to kind of show the difference between that's not having it there, right? And then this is having it there. Big difference, and I think that gives it a lot more clarity. It makes it, it cleans that area up really nice to be able to even take a screenshot, I guess, as far as going into Victory Lane. And also fixes, I guess, the misskewing of the infield texture, I guess, as far as in that area too as well. Yeah, so this is looking pretty good. Other than the fact that some of the placements of the haulers, you know, they got the initial placement, and some of the texturing for those haulers will need to be adjusted to accommodate, I guess, as far as the event that's trying to be depicted here. I think we're in good shape. It's got a little bit of clipping on that, I noticed, from this distance. Not a lot on the video screen. We took very good care, I guess, as far as making sure there isn't a lot of clipping with, especially with a lot of objects that are hovering over the actual geometry of the track, for example, as well as another model to another model. So you give that little bit of lift to that little bit of padding and the spacing between the two 3D model pieces to make sure they don't clip. And kind of take away from the quality look. Basically, you get a little bit of clipping, I guess, as far as with the O'Reilly. Very minimal. I mean, that's the only point that I'm trying to make there. It's pretty difficult, I guess, to get rid of all the clipping, but when you can keep it to a minimum, I guess in this case, as far as the way we do this, the way method is applied there, it's definitely huge. Alright, so we got our starter stand. That's going back from a previous stream, I guess, as far as do that. The series haulers, officials is what I meant to say. Those that need to get redone. We picked, I guess, the current NASCAR Cup Series. So yeah, all the infield buildings. This is the bulk of what's all new. It's all in infield. So it's adding much more livery, I guess, as far as to infield. Still don't have, so we're kind of building up, I guess, as far as to adding all the camper groups and car groups that will eventually adorn the rest of the infield. To kind of fill that in and give it a little bit more livery. Motorhomes on the backstretch. So we do have some up on here. Oh, yeah, so that would probably be some of the things that would have to be added as of yet. So, yeah, those would be like motorhomes on this stretch here on the back stretch. You go on top of that. Bird kill. Really starting to feel like we're actually there. So, one of the only things that I should say a couple of the only things that are missing at this point, and I'm sure there's more, don't get me wrong, but are such things as the track condition lights. That only depicts as far as when there's a caution, not necessarily a green light condition. So we do have that object to potentially add in and around the track. On the fence, so they're usually on the fence posts, and also the lights as far as that let you know the condition of pit road, as far as the Wayland light layout, I guess, as far as between pit entrance and exit. So those will need to be added yet, so that drivers on the track know if the pits are open, in comparison, I guess, to their spotter letting them know the pits are open. They can look at they have that visual, I guess, both the audible and the visual to confirm that the pits are either closed or open. Sunoco signs, that was the other thing. So here we go. Here's the main cue. So this is like I was mentioning, as far as like many cases. Oh, this is a little bit closer to the wall. Yeah, so it's kind of clipping into the wall. That's the only main issue, I guess, I see. But they're there, and they are pointed in the right direction. Towards the infield, where the fuel station is. And is that the only one that's in here? So they only have the one on that end. Some of the tracks, nope, there is one right here. Cool. They usually do put one towards pit exit, entrance, and exit. That's just advertising for the Sunoco brand that they do use for. Now, what's kind of interesting, the fact that Sunoco is still the official fuel NASCAR, but they tend to use a more, what was I gonna say, an E85, ethanol. Yeah, I guess that's what I want to get, as opposed to just high octane. As far as like high octane leaded gas with the vehicles. So the fact that Sunoco is, even with it being the ethanol, because as far as still providing that for, what are you talking about, Dan? Oh, as far as having it too close to the wall. I mean, you got it initially placed there, but this is why, read your cheek, I guess, as far as to, see what needs to still be adjusted. Not everything comes out perfect, I guess, as far as the first time around. It's just those minor things like that. I mean, it's a very minimal thing, but it's something will be definitely noticeable. Like if you were to, again, always take into consideration whether or not you're going to put camera in certain positions. If you did that, you probably wouldn't notice it, but if you were to put it, like, say, on the wall and have a speed shot coming out of this corner, you'd probably notice it more. It's just things to consideration. So if you put a camera here that shows the cars going by around the track, as far as a fixed position here, I just noticed here. So these here infield walls haven't been redone yet entirely. Still, so the fact that we still have the double-sided logo on these medallions on the infield walls, in comparison to down here. Now I fixed that texture from last stream. As some of you that have been tuning in to the streams, we did have a little bit of a mix-up, I guess, as far as with the wrong texture applied to what's going on here. I don't think I showed that, so we're going to go back over here. Now we can see in this spot, that's the proper texture. It was just showing as a white area with these medallions. That's been corrected. And on the back side of these, we only have the white. So this is one of the only sections in the infield wall that has been adjusted as of yet. So the rest of these along the line here that have the medallions have not been yet. So this is gonna go, say, over here. This one hasn't been done yet. You can see that's the adjustment has been made to that section of inside wall near pit exit, in comparison to these that still would need to get adjusted. It's still otherwise still using the same texture as the one over there, but that necessity, I guess, as far as for the adjustment to the model itself. Now the fact that these are all model as opposed to the geometric, very minimal differences that you can tell, I guess, as far as this being geometric and this is model. And part of the reason, I guess, as far as for doing that, as far as model as composed to geometric, is the geometric is more or less pretty solid. It's all one piece. You can get away with just doing the geometric. The fact that you've got openings in this in the infield walls here created the necessity, I guess, to do more of a model item there, so you don't run into the you don't run yourself into the urge to want to split the track segment to be able to get this the openings like this, to include other areas around the track and on the infield. So the fact that Torch has taken the approach, I guess, as far as to not, you still got the geometric wall in here, I guess, to have the collision. So you're still gonna hit, if you hit the inside wall, you're still gonna have that collision there. But using that and basically embodying just a model piece around that geometric spline for that. And then so you're still gonna have collisions, I guess, where these openings are, and that doesn't take away from it all, because you don't really need to be getting access to these areas, I guess, as far as you're racing on the track. So and also, I guess, with that being said, there are at least areas like that access to victory lane, which also gives you access to the rest of the infield on here on pit road. We got this one spot that is usable, and there are other spots where you get the visual for it, but it still has the collision here for the wall. And again, as far as being able to differentiate, as far as the fact that this is a model piece as opposed to being geometric, it's a pretty difficult feat in some cases, I guess, as far as to be able to, to apply that aspect. So I'm noticing here, this bit line here is kind of low. Yeah, so it's going along this, and this might be a little, we'd have to take a look at in the sim itself. So this is something that I've mentioned many times before. When you're creating these model pieces for, and I don't remember if this was a TSD or a model piece, I guess at this point again, when you have this happen, especially if it's a model piece, you definitely always want to take a look at it in the sim to see if you're witnessing the same problem as you do in Sandbox, because the way the track geometry breathes, quote unquote, for lack of a better way to put it, that's what you need to take note of, as far as if it becomes evident much the same way in Sandbox as it does in the sim, then make an adjustment to that, I guess, as far as to make sure that it doesn't do that in the sim. That's the only one I noticed, I guess, on that. That's actually pretty reasonable. That's when you think about it, but. So I'm just looking around to see what else we got. We got lots of really cool visuals. Yeah, words are hard. Cool visuals, I guess, as far as just to kind of show, where different areas. So like, you're gonna have a screenshot in here for the pit entrance, for example. This is the way it would look, I guess, as far as it, most likely in reality. So like, other things, we've added, there's obviously been a lot of things that have been added to the infield here at this point. One thing that I noticed we don't have, as of yet, which will still be added at some point, would be safety vehicles, tow trucks, rollbacks, ambulances. They usually get position in such places like where the openings of these walls are, so that they have easy access in and out to be able to get to accidents and crashes on the track promptly, so the drivers can be tended to in an expedient fashion. So that's one of the main reasons these openings in the infield walls are present, not only in reality but also in the sim. So you would have tow trucks and ambulances and such posted at these openings here, so they have that access, quick access out, instead of having to go all the way around. Like if they all parked near the infield care center, they would have to go long way around, I guess, as far as be able to get out, and not be able to get to them as fast as possible. So there's a lot of design in the reality sense, and even in the virtual sense as we're building it here, I guess, as far as to pick these types of actions. Oh, bot gave you nothing. Oh, hey, you got a jackpot. That's a jackpot. Is that what your Torch gave himself a shot, missed it. Hey, Torch went ahead and did it for you there, Lady Death. That jackpot. It always deserves to run the winner sound bit there. We're getting a jackpot, because we know those can be pretty hard to get. That's the 500 units of loot. That's the middle ground numbered flutes that you can get for jackpot. GG's on that. You was looking for it? Yeah, those are in the I know I had to move a lot of those, and I know it's in some cases it's kind of kind of annoying, I guess, as far as where those are at, but they are in the sound panel. Can't remember now. Are those in the Torch knows, because he uses it quite a bit. either in the channel points or in the channel point redemptions or in the sound panel, I guess, as far as this bullet stream. And that's been my resolution to the bot not wanting to play them, as far as in the form of those sound commands. I know for some it's kind of a pain, I guess, to be able to get to them. So we're just kind of taking this all in here, right, for a moment, I guess, as far as what we got going on here with the track. So even though it's still not 100% done, I guess, as far as the amount of library that's in the infield, it's going to add a little bit of weight. Slot says, let me show you how to do it. This is a pretty cool deal here. Remember this one. What was this one done here, Torch? That is pretty cool. Track drying team. So yeah, this is a different type of. So you don't have those trucks or whatever that actually have like the suckers on them, as far as the vacuum or. Actually, I think they're blowers, as opposed to vacuums, but that go around the track, I guess, as far as when. Oh, there's the helicopter. This is the one that doesn't fly. I think that's what you were mentioning earlier. So this is the helicopter that doesn't fly. So I think this is the medical helicopter. As far as when drivers are really badly hurt, they get airlifted out. He did that for Dover track. So that track drying deal. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Definitely still that low poly, kind of look to it, but it's, yeah, definitely stands out. I just noticed that as I was panning around here, like those little intricate details like that. Yeah, so there's still plenty that would need to be added to this bear, but this gives us a really good chance to be able to test and see where the track is at in the sim, to see where how much, if any, loss of frames. If it tends to lag or just an extreme frame rate drop with this amount of detail being added to it. It's a lot. And the fact that it's done pretty optimally for the most part. What I wanted to look at too, as I say that, so we got some of these series haulers in here. We got the Xfinity one, Goodyear. I did not notice the I think you said you weren't using it though, right? So it's not in here yet, but you've got it, in the pack, I guess, as far as what you sent me. I guess that's going to be redone. You just wanted to make sure I had it, I suppose. Yeah, so it's not actually in the track here, but it will eventually. Yep, so we do not have any track NASCAR that I can see here. Alright. Guess I just wanted to see, because it would have been really kind of interesting to see, I guess, as far as how much impact being in and around in oh my goodness, stumbling my words. It would be really interesting to have seen, I guess, as far as how being in or around, I guess, that hauler, be it the fact that that was such a heavier texture, as far as bigger. It's got a lot more weight to it. Hey, that's probably not a bad idea, actually, to take that approach there. So, obviously, it would be a lot of 3D crowd, as far as if you were to apply this mainly to the front stretch here. To get all these other elements in here first, have that library in there. So I'm assuming, like, nextly would be like adding some car groups And we have the ones, as far as I can remember. I gotta go over there and look here real quick. They should still be posted over on the Spline Design Studios site. As far as the camper and car groups, the updated ones, those could be potential for being applied. We're going to take a look here and make sure they're still there. I don't want to catch myself in a lie. Let's see here. Alrighty then, let's do this. We'll do a new window. Let's bring that over. So, at the Spline Design Studios website, to go to our downloads. NASCAR Racing 2003. And I believe that's under utilities. So, yeah, over here, we should have. Alright, maybe it's not in utilities. Last I remember, it was here. So we have. There they are. New camper groups right now. These are still currently available on the Spline Design Studio website for anybody that is building a track. It is currently set for. Yeah, I might end up changing that. We don't really necessarily require, I guess, as far as registration, but the fact it does mention on here, I'll have to make a note of changing that. Make it a little bit more accessible. But this gives you an idea, I guess, as far as what's involved with that. It gives you some camper groups to be able to use in the infield. And you can see the differences between the original ones that Papyrus had in their tracks and the new ones, the new sets. So they take up the same footprint as the original ones. They had just have much more modernization to it. And it shows them in their element at a track. So for anybody that is and these also will work if you want to, because they have this relatively the same name to the original camper groups that are in the shared folder. So if you apply these to your shared folder of your installation, your simulation installation, those these campers will show instead of the original ones. But also, like I said, can also be used, I guess, as far as for new track builds, as far as to put them directly in your track and apply those in your track directly. I think it did turn out much nicer, and I would like to think this is the approach that I take when when we did these. What would Papyrus have done? I guess if they would have redone them. So it does have a little bit more poly weight, as you've shown way back when, I guess when these were originally created. It does add a little bit more poly weight than the originals, but it's not an extreme amount, I guess, of additional poly weight that kind of weighs the whole track down. And that's obviously, like I said, anything in multiplicity, as far as from one model to another, this makes a big difference. So much care basically has been taken, I guess, to make sure that these new models to replace, I guess, as far as these originals aren't going to impact track, I guess, as far as all that bad. Torch Stick Initiative, I guess, they kind of boost the bot up. Is that right? Yeah, so that's just kind of give you all a clue, I guess, as far as what's going on the Spline Design Studio site. You got some of these items that you have at your disposal. Probably another good fair mention here. There has been request by some of our viewers, I guess, as far as to have somewhat of a sample script, I guess, as far as for doing grandstands. So there is one also posted here, and that's definitely in utilities. So we got such things as our camera jig. There is, there's one for just a simple PSG script for like a single static 3DO. There's also one, I think I put the one in here. No, I guess I didn't post that one. So this is just for a simple 3D model, static model, but really no dynamics to it, you know, as far as switching functions or anything like that. The pit center jig tool for placing your pit stalls on your track. There's a little bit of information, I guess, on how those work. Season editor. This one right here has been recently put in here not too long ago, I guess, as far as to fill that request. I guess for anybody that wants to build a simple grandstand that has the function of empty and full stands. So that's 100% available over on the Spline Design Studio website as well. It gives you at least the footprint, you know, the roadmap even, I guess, as far as how that would need to be designed. You can easily just plug in your own pass file name and so on to be able to call what your 3DO is and so on. You can just adjust that pretty easily, just to give you the initial layout for it, and you can add to it or subtract from it, like I said, as appropriate for whatever you're trying to do for your grandstand build. You're gonna use what in this build? Oh, as far as the camper groups, I think that's what we're initially talking about. So, all right, did I put that back? So I'm not going to save this PDTF as well. Anything that I've adjusted in here as I've been going over some of this, I'm not going to save that. Definitely going to be applying this same PTF, I guess, over to our game track directory, so we can actually test this out in the sim. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good. Right then. Okay. So I'm just checking out. Alright, so what I need to do is start moving some of this stuff over, so we can actually check this out in the sim. Yeah, so I think I've already mentioned, I guess, as far as some of the things that are still missing that could still be applied to the track, which would be the lights, as far as that show pit road is open or closed, as well as track condition lights. One of the little tricks I like to do, I don't know if I've necessarily shown this before, I might have, but it's probably been a while. For positioning track lights, I guess, as far as to a fence, because that is that whole same concept of the fact that it is a geometric deal, I guess, as far as for the fence, and the fact that it does have that tendency to breathe, quote unquote, I guess, as far as for lack of a better way to put it. The way it gets rendered in the sim in comparison to Sandbox can be different. So in order to get those lights to be placed on the fence line without being too close or too far away, like they're, you know, kind of hanging in midair, can be somewhat challenging at times, especially when you're considering certain camera views, you know, spotting the camera, I guess, in certain positions to make, and definitely be able to point out, I guess, the fact that those lights are floating off the actual post of the fence. So there's a little trick that I like to apply to, you know, for applying those types of lights. And I was kind of thinking about that, and that's one of the things that kind of got, you know, gone on a tangent. I figure I can go over that option, because I think we had come to the conclusion that the lights that were applied to the original 2015 build would be a good candidate for applying to this track. So let's kind of go back to the 15 build. I'll show once again a little bit of a summary, I guess, as far as which lights that I'm speaking of. And they are the ones that are at the track. We've confirmed, I guess, that that's the only lights that they have as far as for track condition, and that are these little deals. So all it does is just depict a flash up and down, I guess, as far as to show that there is a caution, and they are scattered on the outside fence there, outside retaining catch fence around the track. You gotta let the drivers know that there is caution. especially when they're on a different area of the track besides the passing the flag stand. So what I like to do, I guess, as far as in a lot of cases, as far as you have this model here that you would physically apply, use this to apply to the track. I like to modify this and add a little bit of a guide on these posts here, for example, to show how much it's clipping or not clipping into the fence, to ensure, I guess, as far as that these aren't going to be floating. And that's something I figured I'd probably go over, I guess, on the stream here. I think that's a pretty good thing. I know Torch had mentioned as far as potentially adding waypoints. Do that, I can see about going over that as well. So while I got this open, it's really not critical as far as the jig that you use for applying this. This, as long as it's in the same orientation of the one that you're going to be applying, that you want to be physically applied to your fence on the track. But you can simply take this model. I do have a 3DS for the original build of this, right? But in this case, as far as being able to just modify it slightly to use it as a jig to initially get in place in there, it's going to have the same orientation and the same name as what you'll apply there. So you'll be able to swap that out once you confirm it gets as far as they're all in the proper position where you want them to be, and then just swap that model out with the same name and so on with the coordinates, as far as in comparison to the PTF that you save it with, and go from there. Little trick. This is a little tricky as far as it can be very hard to kind of really tell whether or not these posts here are too far into the fence or too far away. So by adding a little piece, I guess, to the end of this here, it gives you a little bit of clarity, I guess, as far as whether or not it is or not. And the fact that they don't have anything like that in reality, when they apply these type of items to the fence, makes it a little bit different. Lady that says I'll take it. 51 units on the Risk. That's pretty cool. Just missed it by one emote on the slots. Okay, so what I'm going to do, as I was trying to allude to, is export this out as a 3DS. And I'm not concerned with the poly weight, as far as the number of polys that are going to be in it, because it's going to be swapped out once we get those initially placed. Alright, so let's go ahead and export this. It'll make sense, I guess, as far as once it's applied and go all through all the steps. So I'm going to go 3DS. So as much as I mentioned, I guess, as far as not to do this for the final 3DO, that's really what this applies to. For the final 3DO that you would consider, I guess, to keep into your track folder, you definitely don't want to do this with this route that I'm going to be showing right now. But for what we want to use this initial object for, as a jig for the same object that'll be swapped out once we do get them all placed, this modified version, that'll be just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that 3DS. Yes. And we'll be able to load that model into our Max program and then modify that to add that to them. It'll make sense, I guess, as far as in just a moment once I get there. Let's close that out. So that's initially what I want to cover in this part here. So far, track is loading fine. We did point out, I guess, a little bit of adjustments that still need to be made to certain items, and that's going to be expected. As you build things, sometimes you just overlook this type of thing, so it's always a good thing, I guess, to have a second set of eyes and be able to see, yep, we kind of missed on that. Okay. So this is in our 15 build. I was just noting some of the things that... So I already spit this out as a 3DS. Let me go this way. Just to kind of show that it is on... I saved that up to the desktop. It should be. So, let's go with that. That is right here. So that's the 3DS that I did just save. Alright. So we got Max open here. I'm going to go ahead and load that model into Max. Import. point to that 3DS that we just created. And do not convert. There's our initial model. So we'll be able to take texture. We're going to need the texture for this, because we'll need to map these little. I'm going to add little planes, I guess, to this here to give more clarity. I guess, like I said, it'll all make sense. It's a little trick that I learned, I guess, as far as applying these types of objects to fences on a track build. So I need for that. So we need to open this up here real quick and go like this. Open with Notepad and check to see which MIP. So it's caution light. C light with no spaces or underscore. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That is going to be the texture. Yeah. So let's open with MIP 2, and we'll make a bitmap of that. Go to desktop. Let's see here. All right. That's going to be in. Whoops, my bad. That's 7, 9, 15 build, and then sort this out. C light, no spaces. Right here. That's the texture we want. So all we want to do is just spit this out as a bitmap. We can apply this to our model in 3ds Max. Okay. Now we can go into our material editor. We'll go standard. Okay. Load in that texture we just created a bitmap of. Point to that texture. I think I did leave it right in, yeah, I did. Wait a minute. Where did I put that? Shoot. Dadgummit, where did I save that? Okay. Guess I wasn't paying attention where I saved it. Let's open that up here again. It's find out. So I opened it in here. And where did I save it? C line. Bitmap. And file save as. Where did I put that to? Where the heck did that go? That's strange. I don't know where to save that. It should already be in there as a bitmap. Did I cancel instead of save? I don't remember now. Maybe I did. Oh. Anyway, there it is right now. It is saved where I expected it to be. So I must have did cancel instead of save. Dummy. Alright, so now what we need to do, point to that texture. Ready 20. That texture. And I've already got the item selected, so go ahead and apply that. Sure to have the mapping on it. Okay, now we're set to make our modified version of this so that we can make it like a jig out of it for it. Now, we don't necessarily need to have this, but in order to have the same orientation, you know, as far as where the center and all that stuff is, and just be able to simply swap it out once we get them in position with the modified version of this, just best to use this as a way to modify it instead of trying to create a whole different model. I guess as far as it's a lot more simplified, it's not going to matter. You know, the number of polys that are in this one with the way I created it, it's not going to be the final 3DO, I guess, as far as in the track. So alright, so all I'm going to do is create a couple of planes here. So we'll create an initial plane here. Alright, and I don't need more than one length and height seg on this. Whoops. Okay. And then I'm just going to draw this out. And I'll go ahead and convert this to double poly. Okay, we're going to keep that centered. And then we're going to do an angle snap on it. Go to the rotate, and then we'll just tip this up 90 degrees. Like so. Alright, and we'll just kind of move this into position here. Oop. Go. So there's a couple different ways you can go about this. You can either take one plane or two different planes on each post. I might take the approach of just making one long piece here. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a visual to actually see how much these posts, for example, are clipping into the fence itself. You know that it is not floating or is too far in, what have you. I think what I'm going to do is just and it's not really critical, I guess, to make it like perfectly in the center or anything like that. I just like to make it somewhat close to the end. I could, if I wanted to, kind of snap it to semi-snap it, I guess, as far as to the y-axis to make sure that it's flush with that very end of that. And I might do that. So let's do this. That said, just a double poly. So it's a 1-to-1 comparison between the two models. Okay, and then we'll go to that vertex on the end of this here. Get that y coordinate. Copy that. Back to our plane. And paste that y coordinate in. That'll put it right at the end of that. Flush with that. And then what I'll do is I'll drag this out, go down to the bottom post. I'll take these two verts and drag this out. That's a straight line coming down there now. What this is going to do is going to create like a placard sorts, I guess, as far as to show. We'll be able to see this visually, I guess, as far as when we go to affix our light fixture, I guess, as far as to the fence. It's going to give us more visual, I guess, as far as how much that's clipping into it. Is that you're going to have both rotation, I guess, as far as on this axis, as far as if we go into the model like this. So as we apply it to the track, you're going to have a rotation. Whoops, not so much that way. Like, say, this way. Right? So this is going to give us a guide as far as how much that's clipping into it as we have to apply it to the fence that way. That back. Okay. Now, we don't really need to... The only thing we need to do on this one here, we don't need to get real technical, I guess, as far as where this is mapped. Because again, this is only going to be a placeholder for this object. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and collapse this together. Alright, so we'll take these two objects that are in our scene like that and collapse it together. Okay. And what it's going to initially do on this piece here, it's already going to have some mapping to it. We can leave it just like that. It's not going to matter. Now if we wanted a different color be applied to it and kind of give it some contrast, you can do that too. So if you don't want it to be much the same color as our fence, the fence itself that we're trying to apply it to, you can apply this to a different area. So like say for example, if we map this, so what I'm very careful not to do as I collapse that together, I do not want to change the orientation of this. We want to have the same orientation for this model for the original one that we're going to swap it out with. So I'm not going to do, for example, as far as the effect pivot and center to model, because now it's going to take into consideration this plane that I added here. So I'm just going to leave it where it's at. Alright, so it might adjust it on the wide a little bit more, so it's going to throw it off, because as far as when you swap that model out. So that's why I'm not taking any initiative to change this right here as I applied this new piece to it. I want it to stay in that same position, same orientation entirely, as the model we're going to swap out after we use this as a jig. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so like Torch was saying, I'd go with a lighter color, and that's kind of when I say you could leave that like that if you wanted to. It's still going to give you some clarity on like that, but maybe not as much as you would like. So it might behoove you, but we can use just what's in the texture that we have here. Don't need to modify the texture, really. You can just apply what's already in the texture, just to give this more of a contrast. All right, so with that said, we're gonna go like this. Take this ink snaps off. We're gonna apply our UV Unwrap. Okay, and then we're gonna select that poly, and it's faced the direction we want it to be as well. You could also double side this if you wanted to, just to show clipping on both sides of the fence, to see if it's clipping too far on the back side of the fence, you know, facing the crowd. I usually just use the one side. That's usually plenty enough. But if you did necessarily want it to, you could double side this piece that you're adding, you're scabbing onto it, and you know, that way you have it on either side. Because really, most of your view that when you apply in these is going to be on this side, which is going to be on the track side as far as what faces the track side of the fence. Yeah. So usually that's going to be plenty. Alright, so what we're going to do is retexture this. So we'll do, open this in UV editor, apply our texture. And we can see initially where it's applied. We're going to change that. We're going to go right over hell. And this is, again, it's only going to be a placeholder model. It's not going to be the final model. So, alright, so what that'll do is it'll apply that to it. And so anything in here that would give it a little bit more contrast than just what it initially applies when you flatten the model and it applies the texture to it like it did, that's going to work in this case. I think that'll work out just good. I think that'll be just fine. Alright, so we'll go ahead and collapse down this mapping. Okay. Now, that is our new model here, so all we got to do at this point, and I know this is a no-no, I've already explained this many times before, you don't want to go through 3D Sim, but for what we're trying to use this for, it'll be just fine to do that. So we don't need to run this through Make 3DO or anything like that for what we're using this for. This is about the only time you should consider, I guess, as far as using 3D Sim, I guess, as far as to create a model. It's going to be a throwaway piece. It's going to get swapped out once we use it for what we need it for to get the initial models into place. Okay. So what I'm going to do at this point is save this as a new 3DS. So export this out. And we're going to save this on the desktop. And we want this as 3DS. And I can even go ahead and just write over the one that I initially exported out. That's fine too, because we're going to bring that right back into 3D Sim Ed and create a new 3DO. Let's do that. Okay, now we're going to open that 3DS up into 3D Sim Ed. Alright, so let's do it this way. Let's do new folder. Oh, and we should have 3D Sim Ed right here. We're gonna load that up. So let's not get this confused. The fact that I'm using 3D Sim Ed to create a 3DO based on what we're trying to use this for. This is the only time you want to use this method. You can still use the method, I guess, as far as that you would for any other type of 3DO. Run it through Make 3DO. You can do that, but this is a little bit quicker in some cases, especially if you've got the 3D Sim Ed utility down pat. Just don't get used to using that as a method, I guess, as far as creating models. That's all. So we want to do. It's been a while since I've had to do this, but I think I just got to go ahead and import. Go to that 3DS, open it up. So it's going to show our model, and it's not going to have any texture in most cases, and that's normal. That's normal. So all we got to do to be able to apply our texture, we got to go to Edit, go to Editing Materials, and go ahead and point to that bitmap. It's already saying that's what it's applied to it. All we got to do is find it. So we can see it here. So we'll go here. And then go to that's all applied there. So it is looking for that right on the desktop, and that's not where we have the texture. That's why it's showing it pink. So we just got to tell it where is this texture at. So where it is at is in this folder. Here, just got to point to it. It is right there. So we're just telling it where it is. So initially, wherever it is that you spit out your 3DS and you open your 3DS, I guess as far as in this stage, it's going to look for the texture in the same directory. And the fact that it's not there, that's why it's showing that pink, because it can't find that texture in that location. So now we're just telling it where it's at. We do OK. Now our texture's applied. Now we've got everything that we need as far as to be able to export this out as a 3DO. That's what we're going to do next. So we do export. So in this case, and you have to bear with me here because I don't use this method a lot, I guess, as far as creating a 3DO. So all I got to do is go into this option here under export, save model data. We're not concerned, I guess, as far as like this, I'm just going to do all week. Seen in all distances, and that's fine. Spit that out. We want it to be the same name as the model will eventually swap it out with. So that way, when you save the PTF with those into place, we'll be able to test it out in the sim with this jig initially, right? Before we swap it out, and that way we can determine if it's clipping too far into the fence or not. It'll all make sense, I guess, as far as once we get to that, but I'm just explaining it as I do it. Alright, so that's what we want our 3DO to be named, so that should be on our desktop. We'll go to the desktop, and there's our new 3DO that we just created, right there. So we'll be able to use this one now. We can back up, or take that back. So since we don't have the sea light in our track build just yet, we can use this one along with that texture from. I'll copy those two over, so I definitely want to get this one. We'll cut this one over to our track edit folder, which is this one, and also that texture, so we can load it into Sandbox. All right. So it should start to make a little bit more sense. So the fact that it's still the same name, it's got the same orientation as what we'll eventually swap out. It's going to make it really easy process, I guess, of doing that. Alright, so we're going to do... I need the texture now for that. That's in here. That's right here. So we're going to copy this. Put that in our track. I'm going to put at least just one of them in here, just to kind of give a clue as to how this method works, and that's probably about it. Just for initially here, so you can get the gist of how this is going to work. Get it boozed up. Alright, so C light. That is right here. So we got both our modified model here and our texture. And we can confirm this. We're all done here. We'll close this out. Just to make our initial 3DO. We're going to load this up this way. And there's our model. So it 100% loads up in this fashion. Now we can see if we can apply it to our actual track. Right. The one thing I do want to make sure if I do this, I want to close this out. Any changes that I made here as I was showing everything off earlier, I don't want that to be saved. So we're going to go back into the geometry view and do a new. No, I don't want to save that. We're going to reload the track with this one with the add the wing foot. Yep. Okay. Whoa, there's another one. I saw that out of the corner of my eye. That's 2 of the max jackpot. See, getting the bot drunk, it definitely works. Getting that bot drunk definitely does seem to work, doesn't it? Okay. Alright. So the track is reloaded here. Now, you should be able to apply that. We're going to go to Object Placement View. Alright. And we're going to pick a spot, I think, right here by our starter stand. That'd be a good choice here. So I'm pretty sure I'd have to look, to reference it. I think there is one within close proximity of the actual starter stand. So we're going to put one initially here. Whether it is actually there doesn't matter, at least for now. But just to kind of give show proof of concept, I guess, to followers how this little trick works with adding that little plain piece, I guess, as far as onto our. Yeah. So let's go ahead and load this in here in this spot. We'll zoom in. Okay. Add track side object, and we'll do C light. We got to look for it. Should be in relatively alphabetic order. There's our model. C light. Now, as I've already shown, I always show, I guess, as far as like, it's like, where did it go? I don't know where it went. So try and find it. Now that it's been applied here, all you got to do is look in your items list. And again, it should be in relatively alphabetic order. C light, there it is. We're going to fix this. There it is, that little tiny bad boy right there. So it kind of blends in sometimes, I guess, with especially with it being this small. Now we can just kind of roughly get this into position. And whether or not it'll show in its entirety when we initially apply this here, that's not an issue. We just have to save the track, reopen it, and it should populate. Alright, so let's go like this. We'll bring it up. So there it is right there. So I think we're only going to get the bounding box. Looks like. So the actual visual model ain't going to show, but we can see the bounding box, and that's a good sign. Alright, now we want to put this right over here. So we can see in this view where the fence posts are. We're going to initially put this right about there. And because the model doesn't actually show just yet, that's neither harm nor foul. That's good enough for starters. So now what we'll do is we'll save this as a new PTF. Okay. Geometry, save as. And we're going to save this as a new PTF. So this one we're going to do add C light. And I noticed in the last couple of PTFs there you don't add Texas to it. I think you're just trying to sort those PTFs out maybe a little bit. And that's probably fair. I mean, that's you're probably to the point now you got so many daggone PTFs that's like you need to be able to segregate them so they're not all muddled into each other. We're just going to do add C light. I'll save, and we'll confirm that it's saved. So that should be right there. So that's our new PTF. We save there. So what I will do, we'll close this out and reopen it, and then our model should actually populate. Okay. Okay, so now that should populate right here by the start finish line, and there it should be. So we're obviously backwards, and that's okay. So we'll have to rotate this around. Okay, better place this. Oh, I need to keep going. We're not done yet. Okay. Now we need to reorient this as far as properly. Now we can see on the back side here, we don't have that plane I was talking about. If you want to add more clarity to it, but we do have it on the side that it's going to be more visible, like there. As I spin this around, it should actually, and then what I'll do is I'll initially get this place in this fashion, and then what I'll do is I'll swap it out with the one that's not modified with that plane piece on there. You'll see how that'll, once we get this into position, I'll swap that out, reload the track, and you'll see it should put that in the same position without that scab piece, that scab plane onto it. But it'll give you more clarity of being able to place these a little bit more efficiently. Object placement. Okay, and then we need to go to C light, go right to the items list. Okay, and then we'll zoom in on that. Alright, gonna get that zoomed in like that, and then we want to spin this around. So the way we can do that is just like that. Okay. Now you can do this either from this view here, like we know for, as far as the orientation of things, this is the Z, this is the X, and then that should be the Y. So we can go this way and just move it in and out, be like that on the Y. Well, the fact that we would need to go increase this value in order to get it closer to the fence. Or you can go into here and adjust it in this view. So whichever way you decide, it's totally up to you. I'm gonna go this approach here, so we're gonna increase this value to 259. See, that's already too far. See? So you can kind of somewhat get an idea of how this is gonna work. I need to back it off. Do 258.2. Pull up a little bit at a time. So 258.5, 0.8, 85, not too much. 0.95. See, now you can see we're a little bit too far. 25, 35, 5. See how we're clipping into the fence? So that's what's giving us a visual how close we are to the fence with this model. You know, that's clipping through that actual plane. And now we can more precisely adjust that model into that. And also the rotation here. Okay. Now we can increase that a little bit more. Yep, so we're trying to get it to where that fencing, you know, the chain link, what do you call it, is evenly dispersed just across that plane. I might have to go directly. So this is more or less of a straight type of fence here. So we can probably just do the 180. That should probably be pretty sufficient. Yep, that'll probably work. I'll probably back this up just a tad. 4.3, 4.4. So probably about 4.4 is pretty good there. Now we can move it on the X to kind of get it more on that post. Oops, we need to decrease this value. Okay. 0.95. Let's see, 9.1. Actually, hold on. Okay, now we need to move it back out on the Y. See now, this really makes a little bit more clarity, I guess, as far as how well this works. 2, 3, 4, That's too far, so I want to do 4, 3. I guess we could probably go 4, 4. I think that's going to be pretty close right there. So now we know that these posts here are going to be mounted right to that fence. That's what we should see in the game. Right? That's one of the things we're going to test here. Having this jig in here initially, just to, and again, it's only for testing. Once we swap it out, that'll include our final model. So now we'll have a track condition light. I think I want to lower this a little bit too. I want to go down on the Z a little bit. Let's put it at 7.5. Yeah, bring it a little bit lower to driver view level, so it's like as we're driving around there, we'll be able to see that light flashing. Something like that. Cool. Nice. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense, I guess, as far as how adding that little piece onto that just allows you a little bit more preciseness on how, because you can't tell as easily, I guess, as far as if these posts are too close or too far from that, but it'll also show in the sim, because these geometric items such as the fence and other walls tend to bleed, they tend to breathe, you know, as far as in and out, the way it gets rendered in the sim itself. So this makes it a little bit easier, I guess, as far as to place these items like that. So we're going to leave this in here initially when we test this out in the sim, and then once we can confirm that we're getting the same result as we have here in Sandbox, then we know that's good to go. We can swap that out as far as that 3DO, I guess, as far as with the one that's not modified in the fashion that we did here through 3D Sim. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save this again, and I'm going to save over the same PTF because it's just that minor change there, nothing drastic to include any geometric changes or anything like that. So it's pretty safe to be able to go ahead and save right over your PTF, but always take the initiative, because if you don't feel confident and that it's not going to step on the integrity of the track, save a new PTF. It is a very buggy and temperamental program, and it can sometimes mess up pretty well. So that's fair. Yeah. So the fact, yeah. I gotta look into that as far as why the bot is not posting when I go live. That's really still annoying me. I did that for Friday when I streamed on Friday, I guess, as far as yesterday, and did it again. Not do it again today. What is that now? Is that 3? You got 2 of the main jackpots. Lady Death got 1. Yep, you're getting that bot all boozed up. Seems to be working. Alright, so we save this in new PTF. We're good to go, I guess, as far as the tryout. So even with the addition of our modified track condition light, right? We're not really worried about how this model that we've added in the form with 3D Sim Ed, how it functions. Because once we swap it out, that's when we'll be able to see that. All we're worried about at this point is placement. That's the only thing we're mostly concerned with right now. As far as with the placement of that object. So when we swap it out with the actual functioning one, that's kind of the 2-step process to this. Alright, let's get these items moved over to our game track directory. A little bit of busy work in that regard. Okay, let's. I'm gonna do this slightly off screen here for a second. I'm really kind of curious to see what kind of an impact this is going to apply to the track with all these new items applied. Okay. Yeah. Point to all the things and stuff. All right, we need all of that. Oh my goodness. Let me see here. that. And we're where we at? Make sure everything loads up here first. Alright, let's go ahead and switch this over here so you guys can see what's going on here. So we go like... yeah, there we go. So all I'm doing is in our game track directory, removing all those files that we've already showcased to include our new item, that sea light. So I'm in my game track directory. We're going to paste that all in here. That's the first set. Okay, well that's brand new, and go back to our track, our items here. So that's the first set of new items. Here's the second set. Copy all that. Paste that into our game track directory. All brand new, cool. And we want to make sure we get our sea light, which is going to be right in here. Holy crap. Man, that's 3 main jackpots. Holy smokes. Good grief. That's 4 total, but that's at least, wait. Is my count wrong? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, you got the 1/500. Okay. Damn. It's crazy. That's helping as far as liquor boosting the bot up there, I guess. Alright, so we need to... yeah, we need to get the sea light, that's right. Lost my train of thought. So we got sea light. That's our modified version here for the time being. Right here. These two. And the last thing we'll need is the PTF that I saved. Oh. Alright, here's our game track directory. Put that in there. That's brand new. Now we need the PTF. That's actually going to be add. Copy that. Game track directory. And we'll have to rename that PTF. Okay. We want to back up our... I think I got several backups in here for Texas 20. Okay. Yeah, the fact that we're getting more and more stuff in here makes it a little bit harder, I guess, to pinpoint files. No, they're all alphabetic. Alright, so start over. There we go. This PTF, we're going to back that up. Yep. We want to do this as 4. That's fine. Like I said, I got several backed up PTFs. I don't really need all these. Once we confirm everything works like it's intended, we don't really need those backups anymore, but just initially get it backed up so we can revert if needed. Alright, so we need this one here. We want to copy the name of our track folder like so. rename this to that. Oh, snap. I got the wrong dang file. Son of a gun. Notice that. I got the SPX files. Hold on. Get that out of here. Don't need that. We need PTF, which is right here. A little boo-boo on my part. Alright, so we'll paste that in here. Okay, so here, cool. And we should be able to shoot. I gotta recopy that. I sure do. Yep. We gotta recopy the folder name. Okay. And alright, cool. So now we should have everything in here that we need to be able to initially load this into the sim itself. Let's see how this works. So we're gonna go to load up our profile for the wheel, and we'll launch the game. And hopefully this will load without any errors, without any problems. So we're going to use, continue to use the 2021 mod by Splash and Go. Kind of impromptu, you know, what's what I'm looking to. It's kind of non-public, I guess, as far as the lack of a better put it. Since the fact that Splash and Go doesn't really have a website anymore, but it's been kind of put out there for anybody what's within Cosman's group there, as far as what Splash and Go. Pretty cool mod, I guess, as far as they redid the Camaros on that. So let's do testing session, and we should be able to load this, no problems. No whammies, there we go. So the track does load, and because we're in testing, we're not going to see a lot of things like the haulers and things like that, I would expect. Let's look around here. Whoop, I want to go to here. We'll go into track. Done. Yeah, so the track does initially load. That's good. We're gonna go to drive here real quick. Gotta spawn that in. Go ahead and get out. Go to replay. Get to the point where our car spawns. That up a little. There it is. Now we can go to spectator. And it's around like that. So yeah, so you can see in the infield here, we only got our static structures like our buildings, Sunoco station, and so on. We don't have the haulers. You know, as far as all those fender haulers and stuff like that. Gotta look at it from this way too. That seems to be cool. I mean, the other thing I want to test out here while I'm in this mode. Oh. Drive. We won't be able to see it from here. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to get this wheel over here real quick. Give me just a second. Mute the mic here while I move this wheel over. Oh, thank you. Testing? 1, 2? Yeah, I think we're good. Alright, so took me a little bit there. So something I was thinking as wheel over here. One of the things that probably won't show in this mode is the wing foot, as far as flying in the air or anything like that. Be able to witness that. So we'll have to go into race mode, I guess, as far as what in the heck is going on. There we go. Trying to adjust some things here. Alright, so let's take an initial look here in testing mode. Back this up. Oh my goodness, yep. See, this is what I was worried about. So we're adding more weight to the track at this point here, and this is not good. Alright, so we're already seeing some poly tear. And this is just in testing mode. So
Hi. This is T1 from Torso
oh,
Electronics.
guess we got to the end of that. Oh, and then it crashed.
Algorithmic.
Alright,
or
so we definitely got an
generative
issue with...
sequencer that does things very differently from
Don't
others.
want this. Get out of here. There we go. Let's switch that. So that's definitely a problem. We actually had a crash there. Definitely had some initial poly tearing, and that happening. So even with adding that little bit, the level of detail, I guess, to the track, that's creating an issue. That's my initial concern, I guess, as far as like, so even with this, what limited that's added to the infield, everything else that's going on with the track as far as poly weight is obviously creating an issue. Or I'm going to load this up again here and just confirm whether it does it or not again. Well, and this is why we test it on more than one machine. So the fact that this is on a Windows 10 system, for example, and the settings that I've got, you know, doesn't mean it, just because it works on yours, it's going to work on every system. This is why we test it from one system to another to see what the potential problems will be. Like I said, as many times as I've said it before, the more and more you add poly weight to a track, so there's already a lot of weight, I guess, into the track with even adding these with the infield objects. The fact that I'm seeing this initially shows me there's a little bit of an issue. Okay, so let's go ahead and load this up. And this is just in testing session. We're not even like full bore, all the cars and everything going on in there. Well, so it could be any one particular object, or it could be a plethora of objects, as far as that's causing that. But it could definitely just be something singular. Alright. Race with the full field. What is your graphic settings set at though? Like mine are pretty up there, I guess, as far as that goes, and that's something else to take into consideration, I guess, as far as so like shadows and all that stuff. Maybe a little bit different. Alright, let's load this up again. I'm gonna try going forward this time, just out of curiosity. We already went backwards once. Forward. Otherwise, we went towards, I guess, as far as the bulk of. Yep, I've seen it still doing it. Let's see if it crashes again. Yeah, this is really bad. Poly tear. Yep, and it does crash again. So that's confirmed. Let's go ahead. Now, what I would probably consider, it may even be the fact that the way I added just that one caution light could be causing the problem. You know, so this might prove my point, I guess, as far as what I've always said. Don't try to make a 3D model, I guess, as far as the 3D sim ed. It could be just that one model. So it could very well be, Torch, I guess, as far as that, everything that you've added so far, you haven't had that problem. Right? Alright, so what I will do, just to kind of debunk that issue, I'm going to make another PTF without having that caution light and that modified deal in there, and just to confirm whatever this issue doesn't exist. Just to kind of see, because like I said, it could be anything, even singular. You know, as far as that light that I created that was modified going through 3D Sim Ed, that's causing the problem. All right, so let's do that. hide that for a second. Switch this back over to sandbox here. Yeah. There we go. All right. Cool. So what I'll do is I'll go into object place. I'm just going to remove that caution light. All right. And then we'll go into our items list. So I'll make a new PTF without that in there. I didn't have anything to do, I don't think, with the infield option. I don't know why you point that out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to that C light. We'll try taking that out. See if that is the problem. If we don't have the problem after I take this out, then that definitely be the culprit. And this is why you want to do a little bit at a time to determine whether or not it is. And the fact that I'm doing this on my end, that's definitely the thing that I know, the only thing that I've added on top of everything that you've got. That gives me a clue, because as far as what could potentially be causing the problem. So, on that C light, we're going to delete that out, like so. Now we shouldn't have in our items list. Oh, whoop. Wrong one. Okay, cool. It's highlighted. Let me zoom in on this just to kind of confirm that it does delete it. Sure, but so we do have it highlighted right now. Now, let's go ahead and delete it. Boom. Now we'll go ahead and I like to switch this back to geometry view and then resave the track. New PTF. And let's just, for the sake of it, we'll just do remove C light. Oops. It may very well come down to the only thing we'll be able to do is just use it as a placement tool and then swap that out via sandbox, and then just be good to go on that. I was hoping maybe to actually show all of that would actually translate into the track, but if it's going to do that, then alright, let's save that as remove C light. That's good. Now all I gotta do, so it's a new PTF, I gotta bring that over to our game track directory. Let's do that. Switch that over. Alright, so what we should have in our game track directory is the move. Alright, where'd that go? Okay. Right. Nope, that's it. There's the SPX. Right there's. Copy that. And this is another reason why I go back to the backups here, I guess, as far as in our game track directory. If at this point we found it necessary to reinstate that original PTF prior to where we're at now, I don't really need to do that, so I'm just going to delete out that C light PTF that I created, with adding it. Let's take that right out. So that PTF. Rename that to Texas. Alright, well, got so much more stuff in here now. That one right there. So take that one out and delete. And then we'll paste in this new PTF that I created that removes that C light. Now I still got the C light model in here, right? So it's, but it's still not going to load. If we can confirm we don't get the same problem there, we'll only use that model for initial placement in Sandbox, and then we'll swap that out and add that. Okay. All right. So, let's see. There it is. Need to rename that. Copy our track folder name. That piece of stuff. Okay, there we go. So we'll load this one up this way and see what it does. So all this one will do is just load the track up initially with just what you've added, not that sea light, that modified sea light. Alright, so back in. Load that up. Testing. Okay. Now let's see if we get the same problem. Now if we get the same problem, it's going to be related more to what you've added. Okay, so we're definitely not getting any tearing, so it's more than likely probably related to that model I created as far as with that sea light. That's another good reason why you don't want to use models created with reduced embed. It'll totally mess with the integrity of that model. So we're only going to use that model that I created as a jig just in Sandbox. Once we get, those placed using that jig in Sandbox, we can swap that out with the one that's not modified. But we're definitely not getting that problem. So that confirms, I guess, as far as probably everything that you've done so far with these buildings that are only showing in this mode. I'm going to go into single race and then we're going to test it that way. That's really all that confirms, I guess, as far as that that one little object that I created, I guess, as far as that sea light is what caused that poly tear and a crash, nonetheless. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. This is why you don't want to do that. If anything, I was hoping actually that it would not cause too much of a problem with just that one piece, so that I could actually show how that's representing itself in Sandbox as well as in the game itself. But all right, let's go into race mode and get out of here. We'll test it out that way, so we'll be able to see a lot more population of the haulers and such into the track. While we got it to this point here, we'll go right into single race, and we'll load up all the particulars, because as far as we normally run full pace lap and all that stuff. Let's see how it runs this way. The only thing we're missing on that is that addition to that caution light. And you shouldn't. That's the whole thing. Never should. And that, again, if nothing else, that just kind of proves my point why you should not. Okay. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and run some practice around here. So, we got, we're not in full race mode, but we should have some haulers. I'm thinking. Right, so let's go do a lap around here. We'll come into the pits. Come around that way.
Pit road speed 45. There you go, man. Number 2500 second gear. Clear to the wall. They're all clear. All clear. Go hard.
Yeah, that piece there on that wall, since we fixed that since last time, it definitely looks a lot better. So you got motorhome too. So I didn't notice that in Sandbox. I'll say I do see him here though. I didn't notice him in Sandbox.
There you go. Go hard.
We're just gonna come right in the pits here. Yeah, that was something I didn't notice in Sandbox, but I definitely could see them there. Even in practice here. I assume they show all weekend. Alright, so we do have, there's the helicopter. See that. You see some of the haulers in the infield. Coming to the pits here. Yep. Definitely got all the haulers in there.
You go man member 2500 second gear.
Definitely got much
speed,
more.
Do not speed here.
Much more going on in the infield.
2500 second gear.
Yep. So I'm observing the frame rates. We're in like the high 90s, low hundreds, and that's to be expected because we got they got the crews and all the other cars that are loaded up in there in the pits. Give our guys here a little practice. "15 seconds, guys. Come on." Boom. Oh, a little bit late, but that's decent.
Clear to the wall.
All right.
They're all clear. All
Ooh,
clear. Go
that
hard.
mode, we're looking good. Let's get out of that. We're gonna go. Let's go right to race. Start from the back. Check it out from this way.
Drivers, start your engines!
Definitely looks good so far. We're in the so starting from the back here, we're like the high 60s. Kind of fluctuates between high 50s to mid 60s. Pretty decent, considering I guess as far as the level of detail in this mod. Seems to play nice so far. No poly tear. Again, confirmed, I guess, as far as that. So anything that you've done, Torch is definitely not an issue. Still comes back to, I guess, as far as that that little bit of modified caution light that I created there through the SimEd. That was the main culprit. This confirms why you don't want to do that.
Man, I'll call the
See how far we can go with this
Nice
anyway.
and I'll walk in front of you. Go get them. All right, man. Pace cars in. Get ready. Gang, gang, gang.
There we go.
Gang, gang,
Woogity
gang.
woogity. Still gotta adjust them at LP here because they do slow up quite a bit here in the dog leg. Got the wing foot in the sky. That's probably another thing to mention. We got the Goodyear blimp. Wing foot 1, as they call it. This as far as in the sky. That's been added new.
One inside.
Ah, wow, this is a ton there. Smokes.
5.3.
Threw my momentum off.
2. Set your door. Die.
Oh,
Set your door.
don't squeeze me.
Up top 3 wide. Up top 3
my
wide.
God.
1 inside.
3 wide.
Clear. Die.
Oh, bad push. Bad push.
Clear low.
Ah. I got no cautions on, so
3.6. 6. 5.
yeah, we would definitely get of yeah, black flag, I guess, for that happening.
Clear to the wall. They're all clear. All clear. Go hard.
Come through the pits that
What the
way.
hell happened now?
I kind of figured I wasn't going too far. Yeah, that little bit of an issue in the dog leg, as far as the way they slow up so bad, it's a little bit of an issue. But eventually, at some point, they'll have to get adjusted. All right, let's go ahead and retire that. So even with me crashing there and everything else that's been added to the infield, all of the new added elements, didn't really see much of an issue. Wow. Totally annihilated my car. Yikes. Okay. So I guess what I will do, that come back on. I didn't turn that on. Oh wait. Alright then. So I think we're good to go on that. Honestly, we kind of really pushed the limit, you know, as far as to kind of really force the issue, I guess, as far as to really test the track at this stage, I guess, as far as with all that added to it. I think it turned out pretty good. So the only problem that we did run into, I guess, as far as what I added with that deal. So really this all comes back to only using this model as a jig in sandbox. That's it. So once you get those all placed, kind of much the same as you would use the pit jig, for example. All it serves purpose for. Alright, so now what I can do, I've got the removed sea light. I can go back to that one there. I'll swap it out with the, you know, as far as the model itself. I'll still maintain, I'll hold that copy of that jig for that light in a different location, safekeeping, and then we'll try it out from there. So let's do yeah, so let's load up that PTF again, number 1. Let's do this one. Okay. And we'll confirm that it just loaded in here. Like so. Okay. Now this one doesn't have any function to it, but the only thing you'll use it for, like I said, as far as is just to get these things placed. We're only just going to do this one, right? So we can confirm we got this one loaded.
Hi. This is T1 from Torso.
Why? What is with the ads? Come on now.
It's an algorithmic or generative sequencer that does.
Shush. Good on this one. Okay. Won't be doing that. It's junk. Alright. Now we got this loaded in, so now all I need to do, slide this over. Let me move this up out of the way. Alright, so we want to put this back. Second. Had to move some things. There we go. Alright, so got this loaded back in there. So all I want to do, actually, again, like I said, I want to just take that 3DO, that modified version of that, and just put it to the side. We're going to use that for placement, I guess, as far as later on. Right, yeah, so I just want to take this one out, and let's just put this on the desktop for now. Let's put that right now for now, and then I want to put that one from the 15 build, and it's not modified, which is right here. Copy that. Now, this is going to be just an even swap from modified version to the original one that's, you know, optimized. So let's consider this too. So the fact that this one here, 66.5 kilobytes, right? So this model here that we created through 3D SimEd, 146, more than twice as big. Just that little bit of, and just one stinking model, as you can witness there firsthand, is what caused all that poly tear. Not a good thing. So I don't know. I don't know much more I can say about that. So we're gonna copy this one over, like I said, from our 15 build. This is not modified, and put it into a track edit folder here. And once we load that same PTF where it adds a C light, it should be in the same position, same orientation. Yep, I want to overwrite that because we already copied out, backed that up. Oh, you were asking to drive in victory lane? Yeah, I can do that next time. This is kind of confirm whatever doesn't play a shadow. Okay, so let's reload that PTF to add sea light. All this is going to be is just a swap from the modified version to non-modified. Okay, so let's give it a second to load. Okay then. We are all, whoops, loaded up. Get into the camera view and confirm. Let's go over to where that light's at. That's 5. So your record's 9. Yep, and there's our light. And it has no plane on that, I guess, as far as to show that all it is just the same one without that. And it puts it in that same position. So we can confirm this way that's an even swap. Now, if we load the track up this way and we have an issue, then we got bigger issues, I suppose. But it shouldn't be the case. Because this one we know worked in the 15 build. So at this point, if it worked in there, it should work in here too. So all I need to do, I don't need to do anything else. All I did was just swap that out there. There's nothing changed with the PTF. It's just swapping out that modified version to this one here. And it puts it in the same position. It's got that same orientation. Only thing it's missing is that little piece that we added there to give us a guide to line it up with the fence post. Okay. So all we need to do is move over that new sea light model, non-modified, over to from our game track directory to our, or from our edit folder, game track. Sea light. Alright. Let's see if we can switch this over. What the? Wait a minute. Where did my, what the frick? Well, that was weird. Why did it do that? Wow. Lost my taskbar there for a second. Hey, when that happens. Alright, so yeah, this is what I want. Switch this over. Y'all see what's going on. Okay. Now we need in our track that sea light that I just added, modified. And it's going to be holy crap! You're gonna beat your record. All right, so let's copy that. Over to game track directory. Okay, and then we're gonna load this back up in the yes, we'll place that case. All right, so load this one back up. See how this works. What do you mean, maybe? Oh, as far as the beacher, yeah. Okay, so let's go into. Let's go into testing mode first, and then we'll transition over to things. But let's see if we get the same problem. Shouldn't, in theory, at least anyway. Now, if we do, we got bigger problems. Lap all the way around. So far so good. It's just in testing mode. Just to confirm. You should be able to go all the way around, pick up to the start finish line and observe that our caution light is still there. This is the one that's more optimized, that's not been stepped on, I guess, as far as through the likes of 3D Sim Ed. And oh snap, it's not in there. Why is it not in there? Oh, you know what? I got the wrong PTF in. Son of a gun. I gotta swap over the PTF too. Son of a gun. Alright, so I moved over that. Yeah, but this PTF doesn't have that. So I have the one that's removed. Alright. Crap. Alright, so let's go ahead and switch that out. Oh, okay. It's not in there. Okay. So let's get that moved. So we need the one that has the C light. Add C light. And so again, I'm just gonna delete. Have an extra. Obviously, is not what we want. F. Game tractor. Right. Go ahead. That should be here. Yep. Copy the right game. Paste. There. Now we should that one up. Let's see what this does. We'll do the same thing. We're gonna put this up in testing. Gonna get the cross fingers. Get those in the follow remotes. For anybody out there, I guess as far as let's cross the fingers. I guess as far as to make sure that works. No issues. So far so good. So this time around, with having the proper PTF in here, we should see caution light by the start finish line. Definitely good sign so far. There's our caution. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so we get confirmed there that is in here. No issues as far as in testing mode, so we'll go ahead and try and single race. Working there. Single race. Load it up. Okay. Out in this mode.
Hit road speed 45. Need to amend that for 2500 second gear. Clear to the wall. They're all clear. All clear. Go hard.
Alright. I'm just going to go all the way around here on the apron and come right back into the pits.
There you go. Go hard.
Not getting any poly tear or anything like that. We'll go right to race after this initial test. Huh? Yeah, I could probably do that too. I already know it works. I just really am just testing out to see how if it's gonna affect it as far as the poly tear. This light I know does function because, like I said, it is from the
Hit road speed 45.
15 build.
Need to amend that for 2500 second gear. Don't speed. Do not speed.
Really, at this point here, the comparison as far as
2500
that
second
modified version I made through 3D Sim Ed and this one here that we know is optimized, like I said, based on the using that in the 15 build. So just confirming. Well, all right. Oh. Reversion. What the On the reverse.
Right here to the left.
Jeez. My guys in practice. I'm gonna go back around and go through victory lane. Just let these cars go by. Just kind of really just test it
Okay,
all
go,
out.
go, go.
Oh, 14.7. Hell yeah.
45. Need to amend that for 25 under second gear. Clear to the wall.
It damn near ran me
They're all
over.
clear, all clear. Go hard.
Got one guy right on my tail. Up my tail. Crowded me. Ah! Oh, crap.
There you go.
Saved
go
it.
hard.
I'm gonna race around here on the apron. Ah! Run into me. Alright, so let's go into victory lane this time.
Pit road speed 45. Need to amend that for 25 under second gear. Don't speed. Do not speed here. Remember, 25 under second
I already
gear.
was, so yeah. So see, you can see where the actual where it stops. See, there's the shadow. Cross into this and no shadow. So the shadow's underneath all that, as far as all that model stuff like that. It doesn't really take away, I don't feel, but if you wanted to have the shadow, mention as far as how you want to accomplish that, right? So, cool, pretty good to go. Let's. Oh, actually, what I wanted to do is go into actual race mode. Yeah, right into race. Start from the back, all that good stuff.
Drivers, start your
I mean, it's really not,
engines.
but I think it would add dynamic because really it's a giveaway, I guess, as far as the fact that that is either like a TSD or a 3D model because it doesn't have a shadow from the car. That's a bug. I mean, if you wanted to take like a really real world type of picture, to have the shadow underneath the car would add a little bit of as far as, so it's at, you know, as far as at discretion, as far as is it needed, is it not needed. It doesn't take too much away from it, but like I said, it does definitely give it's a dead giveaway that that it is a model piece as opposed to geometric. Alright, so we're mid upper 70s as we just scale back here if we get more into the crowd here. It's in the mid 60s, lower 60s. The fact that all these elements here have to load in, especially coming through the main stretch, front stretch
I'll call
here,
the green there. Nice first shift.
and
All
all
right,
these
front
things in
end.
the infield have
Go get
to
'em.
render
Alright,
in,
man, pace cars in.
really
Get ready.
testing it out.
Grind.
Really wish they did slow some shit. Get them room.
One inside. Up top, 3 wide. Inside. Clear low. One inside. Clear low.
Oh my goodness, that's not me.
Inside.
Oh!
Inside. Inside. Up top, 3 wide.
I didn't expect him to
Inside.
be there.
Inside.
I'm
Clear
glad it
low.
wasn't me this time.
I'll tell all the boys on the spot stand the same to go any second. They're all over the racetrack. The front stretch here. 41.079. Clear low.
Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! Hit the pace car! What for?
Cause you hit every damn thing out there. I just want you to be
Clear.
perfect. Yeah, so you can see the wing foot out there. Does it only stay in the one spot? I'm only noticing the one spot. It seems to sit in that one spot. I know you had talked about going over waypoints. I might go over that next stream. getting a little bit wore out, I guess, at this point, I guess, as far as with all the activities from earlier today. But I was glad to be able to show, I guess, as far as what we've got going on here, and just kind of debunk any problems that potentially existed with what I added. So I think so far everything looks great. I pointed out, I guess, some of those things that need to be adjusted, like the Sunoco sign clipping into the wall, for example, and some of the haulers. Obviously, some of the textures still need to be adjusted, but the initial placement of forms there. So, I think with all that, it really proves with what level it's at now, it's still it's gonna work. It's good to go. Retard. Okay, we have enough testing here, I think, for now. I think what I showed as far as, like, again, I can still use that model for that modified caution light, just in sandbox. Oh, that's not what I want to do. My bad. But that's the only place I'll be able to use it. Obviously, with the problem that you have in the sim itself, with just at one place, that's not going to work. Yeah, so the waypoints for that Wingfoot one, so it probably just stays in that one spot. I can take a look at it initially, just kind of show real loosely, I guess, as far as what would need to be done. I'm not going to go and apply that right now. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit worn out right now with the activities earlier today. Definitely glad I was able to show this. It's pretty cool. I can for a little bit. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay on. That's the only. Okay, let's see. Waypoints. Let's check that out real quick. Let's switch this over real quick. And switch it over. And switch it over. So if we go this, okay, cool. Now we want to get back into this folder. So the waypoints that have been added in here. So for example, blimp path. That is for the Wingfoot one. You can open this up in any simple notepad. So we're just gonna do select a program, and we're gonna set this up with notepad, which is, I don't know if it'll open it up in Notepad++ or not. I'm just gonna do Notepad. There we go. You can just open this up in regular Notepad, and right now it has 4 waypoints. So just looking at this initially, it starts off at -546, and these are all D-lats and D-longs. So just like it says here in the description here, XYZ radius, Z being your height. So you got your XYZ, so it's 95 meters up in the air. We saw how high it was based on that position in the sim. It's at -546 on the X, on the initial waypoint, 142 on the Y, and then it's got 160 degrees of rotation. So it takes a pretty wide turn. So the fact that it only has 4 waypoints here, it kind of sweeps. It's not like a really sharp turn. If you have more waypoints, you can use shorter rotations, right? So that's kind of the balance here. So if you have fewer waypoints as opposed to more waypoints, it's going to determine how much rotation you want to put in the model. And the rotation that it has is the center point on the, which should be the Y-axis. So it doesn't rotate, like rolls over type of thing from side to side. It's rotating on its center Y-axis. So the fact that this one's designed more to do that. So we can take a look in Sandbox, for example, to see where -546 on the X. That'll give us an idea where this first waypoint is. And you want to do this in geometry mode to get these coordinates. So -546, is, and you're looking down here and you're looking at the bottom set of numbers. So minus 546. First one is I want to say it's probably somewhere in turn 1. Oh. Okay, so it's out further this way. Gotcha. So it's going to be on this axis, further out from the center. So. Somewhere right around out in here. This is where it's going to start on the X. 546. I'm looking at bottom set of numbers down here in the geometry view. Okay, so that's the first number. And then the second number, 142 on the Y. That means it's going to be at... Nope. So it's roughly... And there's a couple of different ways you can do like this. You can take any object, to include the blimp itself, and actually put it in that position that you find. So once you determine, I guess, as far as where you find it on here, you can roughly put it in there and then just kind of hover over that just to confirm where that's physically going to start. But it should be first waypoint. Going to be right about there, kind of where it's already initially placed here. So that's where the initial waypoint is going to stay. The second one is going to be at 896 on the X and minus 129. So that's going to be a little further out this way. Okay, what did I say, 129? So it's somewhere out here. That's the second waypoint. Third waypoint, and so on. So it just kind of goes around. And the way it gets from one point to the next, it takes that much of rotation. So it considers its path is going to be nice and smooth from one point to the next. It's not going to be like a radical turn. That's going to be very awkward looking as far as up there. It's going to be nice and smooth from that point to that point, all the way around. Then right back to that point again. So it's only got the 4 points. It's got one here, here, probably here, and there. Let's double check the 3 second quarter. So the first waypoint's always 0. So that's supposed to go 0, 1, 2. So the third waypoint, almost waypoint 2, 1542 on the X. It's going to be over here somewhere. Oh, maybe this is why it's... I think I know what's going on here. So the fact that it might not be... These waypoints not be working, it looks like it's kind of unbalanced between using X, Y, Z and D-lats, D-longs. Yeah, so this is 1542 D-long. So it's kind of mixed with... Yeah, don't usually want to do that. So you either want to use all D-longs, D-lats, or all X, Y, Z coordinates. So the first two are using, looks like X, Y, Z, and these last two are using D-long, at least D-longs. I'm not sure if these are D-lats. D-lat 89, minus 89. Yep, it could be the case. So that's what you don't want to do. That's definitely what you don't want to do. As far as to do a mixture of X, Y, Z, like I was showing on the first two, and D-longs, I guess, on the other ones. That might be why these aren't working as far as being dialed in. So you can choose either one. So even though it says X, Y, Z in here, you can still use D-lats, D-longs. It's probably better to use X, Y, Z, because that's more or less the way the path files are designed, as far as from the original Papyrus items. And even though that this wing foot that we're trying to apply this path file to is a custom. You know, it's not the one of like the original blimps that are in there. It should still work the same way. So the fact that the center point for the wing foot, for example, is much the same as the original blimp. So what it would take is you'd have to move, adjust these D-longs, D-lats to coincide with XYZ on the first two. So it would have to be, say for example, if you want it over here, you do about 470 on the X, minus 271 on the Y, and then just leave it at the 95. And then also the rotation, leave that at the 180 in this case. And then the last one, do that at an X, say 372, and a Y of roughly 116. And then what that would do is create a point here. Oh, sorry, point here, 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 and here. And then it'll be a nice and smooth transition as far as it'll take a wide corner all the way around and track there. So that kind of gives you a little bit of once over, I guess, as far as how those apply. That's about all I want to go over with that right now. Getting a little wore out, I guess. So, but anyway, that should give you somewhat of an idea how those work. You definitely want to go one way or the other, I guess, as far as XYZ or D-longs, D-lats. In this case, it's kind of split, and that's the sim kind of gets confused with that when you mix them, I guess, as far as with that. Use all the same type of coordinates, either XYZ or D-long, D-lat. Okay. Well, and it's easy to do, actually, right? Because as you're going around here, you know, you got the two sets of numbers. You got the D-longs, D-lats on the one set, right? And you've got the XY, and you got at least the XY down here, right? So it's easy to kind of go be like in one spot, you know, you've got that there, and then look at the other set for another one. So that looks like that's pretty common. You know, that'll happen. So whatever that D-long, D-lat happens to be on those last two, just translate those into XY. That should be good to go. Messenger me. Cool. Well, that's pretty much all I really had to go over. That's now after you sent me all that information there, Torch, I had just that one thing to consider. It's like if we're getting this deep into it, I guess, as far as adding those items that you did, I guess, as far as to that, still what we're missing as far as like track condition light, and also the lights for the entrance of pit road and exit, right? So yeah, I think we're in good shape, I guess, to be able to start applying those in that fashion. I do still have, I just want to double check here. I still have the sea light there. Cool. So this, I'll be able to use this one. I'll swap that out just for sandbox purposes, I guess, as far as to be able to place those. I'll leave that one light in there, at least for now, for my purposes, so I can apply that moving down. So we can. I'll spend a little bit more time on stream, I guess, as far as placing those. I just want to show at least the initial concept, I guess, behind that, as far as that little trick that I've learned, I guess, as far as how to place items like your track condition lights onto the fence. It's going to be kind of tedious as far as that goes. Not sure why the chopper won't fly. There isn't. Yeah, you have to have it moving. So let me just kind of show this here. So the second here. So let me go into object placement. Let's see. I can select this one here. So this one should be moving. Let's see here. So this one's moving. Flint path. Okay. And then that helicopter. I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in it. Let's see if I'll be able to select it this way. Let's see. Be right there. Yeah. It. You do have them both moving. You don't have any. Oh, you got that spelled wrong. You got PTL. Supposed to be PTH. Definitely want to make sure it gets the name of that path file is the same as what you're trying to, what's in the track. So what is that name? It's definitely got the wrong name here. That's probably why it's not working. Let's see here. So that is. Yep, so here it is right here. So what I do, what I like to do, just to make sure, is I go like this. I'll go into properties, copy that. Always to ensure, I guess, as far as that you'll have the proper name and things. Go into this, and then in this path, do a paste. That way you know what you copy, what's in your track folder is going to be the same file name. You include the extension. Right? So that's probably why it's not working. But as far as being able to fly, it's already going to have that function in the model itself, as far as being able to land and all that stuff, in comparison to, say, like the and you can change that with the height, you know, as far as at different waypoints, you know. So at that waypoint where you got it at, it's obviously going to be at 0, or roughly at 0. And I'm assuming that's probably what you have. Let's take a look at this real quick. So if we open this up with Notepad. Okay. We can see initially, let's see what we got. We got 7 waypoints, alright. And looks like you're using mostly XYZ for these coordinates, which is good because it's consistent in that fashion. So when I look at the height, so yeah, the first initial waypoint, which is 0, is at a height of 2. No, that's the rotation method. So we want, yeah, this one right here is at 2.5. That's going to be at its resting spot as far as being landed. And that's how you change that. So it goes from a height of 60 down to 40, and then it lands, and then takes off again. Is basically how that works. Yep. So that should work that way, I guess, as far as once you plugged it in the proper path naming with on the moving, like I just showed. Yep, that's all I needed. It just had the wrong file name in there, so it wasn't able to define that path name that you had it plugged into this for that particular model. Yeah. Okay, and it's, yeah, you'd have to test that out to see if that's in the right spot, if it's taking off and not clipping into anything, I guess, as it takes off and stuff, things like that. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So I'll leave that up to you to make those particular corrections. And like I said, I'll keep my jig, I guess, for the caution light. I'm not gonna worry about sending you, I guess, that PTF. I just, you know, as far as that, just that one, but just to give proof of concept, I guess, as far as how that little trick works, I guess, as far as adding that to a modified version of what you would, you know, so the one I have currently in the track that I showed in the sim, that would be the final object, or the final optimized deal. And you only need that one in there, obviously, as far as for all the additional ones, the additional instances that you'd put around outside of the track and on the fence. All right. Did we have fun? I guess we had fun. I'm glad a little bit later of a stream, I guess, as far as with that, but I'm glad I was able to squeeze it in, and not necessarily have to entirely cruise it out. Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh. I don't know if you heard me what I was mentioning there. I was just getting ready to end. So anybody that's coming over in Evan's stream, what were we doing anyway there, Evan? I definitely was running late on started stream here today. I had IRL things to do, and yeah, so normally I'd be off at this time. Usually you would have spent about 6 hours from a normal start time. So yeah, for anybody that is coming over from Evan's raid, come on along on a raid with me. I guess as far as I'm gonna end this thing. Torch, if you still need to get on VC, I can get on for a few minutes, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty whipped. All right, so if you want to get into VC there real quick, give me a minute while I make my way over there. So yeah, what were we doing, Evan? You went a little too long, and no, that's well, I didn't really go too long. I went normal amount of time, I suppose this time around. Let's see. You're tired also? Yeah. I'm right there. You were playing, oh, Days Gone. So, we're still on console yet. How is the PC build coming along? Do we have parts? You watched them kill zombies a little bit? Oh, really? That's funny. You're actually watching, Evan. That's pretty cool. Nice. So he's good. Days Gone. Yeah, that's one of those zombie games. Decided to put it on hard. Well. Oh, Lady Death was in there also. Oh, that's pretty cool. I know she came over here and kind of kept us company there for a little bit as well. You got a case, motherboard, and RAM so far. No video card. Huh? I think you had mentioned to me, I think you were getting a 3080, right? I think that's what you said. Okay. Yeah, so this is one of the things we kind of worked on here today. It's just a little bit of a summary. Let me look for a potential raid target here. Let's see who we got. It's on. Oh, I know where I'm taking you. I definitely know where I'm taking you. He would definitely appreciate the company. Huge supporter of the stream. I haven't been able to raid him in a hot minute. So, yeah. We're gonna go ahead. I'm slowly buying parts as I get money, right? Budget and adulting, yeah. Those are the two most disgusting things we got to deal with in life, yeah. Budgets and adulting, and not the good type of adulting. So, let me set up this raid here real quick. Come on along with the raid with us here, won't you please? I know I do a terrible job at these raids, as far as that. Raids just don't like me. Period. Sometimes. So, go easy on me, I guess, as far as when I fail miserably. We didn't get to do intro fighters today. That's sad. Watch it. That's not as much of an issue now anymore, Torch. A lot of those dudes have kind of backed off a little bit. Not to say that they're not still out there, but I mean, it's like it's not nearly as bad as it was when I was looking for a PC. That's for darn sure. We're talking the better part of almost a year now. Yeah, so as far as to go directly to the source, I guess as far as for, you know, some of the more common outlets, as opposed to buying from Facebook groups or crap like that. Definitely eBay. Stay away from eBay. Definitely stay away from that. Okay. Alright. Are we ready to raid? I think we're ready to raid. Let's go ahead and switch us on over to the raid scene. Okay, here we go. Pretty chill stream for the most part. We did have Torch come in with the resubscribe. Sorry I didn't put as much emphasis on there. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm just trying to figure out why my Discord bot doesn't want to notify, I guess, when I go live. That's still kind of ticking me off. It didn't do it on Friday, and it didn't do it today again. So, need to figure out what the heck's going on with that. Yeah, so I got some things to do as far as tomorrow. Figure those things out. We need to be able to allow, I guess, to tell everybody what's going on here in the channel. Okay. Feel free, I guess, to spam whatever emotes you got. I guess when we go over to see Firebat. We know him, we love him, and I definitely feel he'll appreciate the company. I haven't been able to raid him in here in a while, so hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, wherever you happen to be in the world, morning, noon, night, all that good stuff, and we'll be seeing you again real soon. Bye for now.